I am back! And still very floofy. As you can tell, I keep telling you the floof would be gone. It's still here. So, I'm Dustin DaHusky, and welcome again to another conversation about pandemic talk. And I don't think I've talked about the vaccine. I don't think I've talked about it yet. But let's talk about it. So, presidential candidates, presidents, pharmaceutical companies, everyone's got different time frames. Different countries with different pharmaceutical companies got their own different time frames. I may have talked about this in another video before, but now it's just going to be an entire video just about that. So, everyone's got different time frames of, the vaccine will be ready to go by the end of the month, by the end of the year. Then everyone will be all fine. Well, actually, I did mention this before. The first country that develops a suitable vaccine that absolutely works, that's got no side effects to 99% of all people, because that's what mostly a vaccine is. Someone is going to have a bad reaction to a vaccine. That's only normal. However, it's little risk as possible is what pharmaceutical companies are trying to do. It's like building a car. Actually, it's even before building the car. You want to design a car, you want to make sure it's 99% perfect. Because there's going to be that one chance where, it's got a design flaw, but we can't fix it because, you know what? We've already perfected much of the whole design. So everything's got a small compromise. And with vaccines, you've got, that small chance that someone may have a bad reaction to. But for the most part, it's meant to help much of a country, society, world society, whatever. The very first pharmaceutical company that finds and develops and tests and concludes that their vaccine is 99% perfect, even if it isn't 99% perfect, they're going to be the very first ones to pretty much capitalize on the situation that they have the vaccine perfect. And like most companies, they're going to be quite greedy, and they won't tell anyone unless told by World Commission. And at that point, anyone can make it perfect. I like to think that most companies are still selfish, that whatever they have, they want to capitalize on it, thus make more money. So of course, a lot of companies will not actually tell you the secrets of how to make that vaccine. Of course, the very first country that develops it is going to help take care of their people first. So, if America didn't develop the vaccine that works, let's say India, let's say Brazil, let's say Russia, let's say China, the very first country that develops a vaccine is more likely going to develop it. Okay, you know what? Beer time. No! It's coffee. It's a good surprise. Actually, it's good to have some coffee. Anyone's going to develop it is going to mass produce it for their own constituents. So that means if it happens to be China, they're going to be making enough vaccines to give to people who are still affected. It may take, and listening to NPR, which NPR is nice. Not a spokesperson for NPR, but you know what? It's a nice radio station. Tune into yours when you get a chance. They're saying that a vaccine could happen in the next couple months to the next couple years. Even if one were to be developed right now, gets approved to being a suitable vaccine, it may take us, the rest of the world, a couple years before anyone gets it. And normally the ones that are either first line responders, people who are sick, are going to be the very first ones to get it. So if you're still healthy, you never got it, you still stay safe during the meantime, Worst case scenario, you may not even get vaccinated for another 2 years from this point on. This is October 4th. You may not get vaccinated for another 2 years before vaccines become more prevalent to where even healthier people can now take advantage of it. So they say, and this is why I think, okay, it's like a 20-80 or an 80-20% rule where you find something that works 80% of the time, and then you try to whittle it down to the next 20%. You learn more about it to improve it and make sure it's marketable. That might still take months. That might still take another year before it even gets to that point. So, yeah, I genuinely believe vaccine as soon as possible is a ideal good thing. Would I like a vaccine now? Yeah. Would I like a very effective one where by the end of the year it's not only just known but it's mass produced, given around to all people of the world? There's still too many factors that even if a vaccine were created right now, you still have the country that capitalizes on the situation. They're the ones that are going to make the vaccine. And even still, ordinary floofs or people like us, it's going to take a really long time before it even reaches to us. Certain companies might want to vaccinate their employees first. So if you're part of a lucky company that bids into a waiting list, you might get a vaccine a lot sooner than the rest of your family, the rest of your friends. There's no way knowing how this is going to get distributed. We just don't know. And like we see around the rest of the world, we expect that there is going to be a waiting list. And unfortunately, whichever country develops it first is going to take advantage of it first for its own people. Economic slump around the whole world. You know what? Countries are selfish pricks, like some of its people. We're all selfish to a certain degree, but others are more selfish than perhaps you and I. And some countries are more selfish than others. So, yeah, if someone were to develop the vaccine, got it right, it may take several months before the next country that bids in that gets it. Then all of a sudden, not only are there people recovering, but economically, now they're the powerhouse right now that is no longer affected. That's a good advantage if you really think about that. Whichever country can get up from this economic slump due to COVID-19 will have the best advantage out of any country in the world. In most cases, whoever develops this vaccine is going to be a first world industrialized nation. So unfortunately, all the other nations that are still developing aren't going to get it for a very long time, which is unfortunate. I would say those countries should probably get the vaccine first because they're the ones that are going to get hit hard the most. Unless they make several factories making this vaccine solely for this purpose, it will take years before everyone gets vaccinated. Would I like to see something different from that outcome? Oh, yeah. I think, in my worldview, I like to think that people are going to be like doing this for the greater good of mankind. That they're going to share the information so that other countries can mass produce. Even on license, you can still make money, heavy money, on the licensing alone on giving out the technical package of how to create this vaccine. Cool. You're still making money. Yeah, you're not making money long term, but you can get boatloads of money immediately because you hold the key to making this vaccine, although you lose money that way because other countries will give that package for free to other countries that maybe cannot afford it. So you're losing money. If countries are going to be as disgustingly selfish, they want to be the ones to make it. So, what am I thinking about this vaccine? What everyone else says. Oh, it's gonna come online in the next couple of months by the end of the year. I'm gonna say my favorite phrase, and I'm probably gonna butcher it because there are many great phrases out there, and I have a bad habit of butchering them all. It's like, oh, I'm gonna tell a really good joke. Oh, fuck, I ruined it. Damn it, I look like an idiot. Don't count your chickens until they all hatched. I probably said it right. Don't count your chickens until they've all hatched, because you know what? If you say you are going to have 12 chickens by the end of the month, and you only get 6, well, now you've got people breathing down your neck. Well, where are those other 6 chickens? Or did they just not materialize? I don't want to say, oh yeah, it'd be great to have a vaccine by the end of the year. But what happens if it didn't? What happens if it doesn't happen? Well, don't want to destroy hope, but I also don't want to put too much optimism on something that obviously hasn't happened yet. Unless we know for a fact that things are looking good on one end, I'm not really going to put too much stock into something until I know, hey, this has a 9 out of 10 success rate. Now I can say, okay, we're getting somewhere. It may take a little while before we get close to 10 out of 10, which is not always going to be practical, as you still have that 1% that someone is going to have a bad reaction to, regardless. But it's close to 10 out of 10 that it'll work. And when it does happen, whichever country develops it first is going to be the one that's going to take the greatest advantage out of it. And we're all going to wait in line to it. So, frankly, even if the United States were the first country to develop the vaccine, and knowing how selfish that we can be, we're going to use it to our advantage. The first people are going to take this vaccine are first responders, doctors, nurses, hospital technicians, hospital staff, and of course patients still sick or people who have contracted it, and hopefully if they can take the vaccine as soon as possible, they will have less of a hard time than if they would fighting it without it. I forget the number of how many people in this country. I think, what is that? There are 7 million people? Don't take my word for it. There are maybe 7 million people who have contracted COVID thus far. That's a lot of people. And the rest of us are still healthy, so the people who are going to take priority over us, the healthy people, are going to be first responders, doctors, nurses, hospitals, and people who currently have COVID. Then what's to say, okay, possibly, let's say medical factories producing the stuff. They want to vaccinate their employees so they can keep producing products that will help save more people. They may be the ones that might get it next. Or firefighters, emergency services. All these other people might want to have it next. So even ordinary people like you and I may not actually get vaccinated till the next year. So even if it was developed by the end of the year, we still wouldn't get it till next year, which I'm more convinced 2021 is just as lost as 2020. Just the way how I see it, realistically, a lot of events are still going to be canceled. Maybe 2022, best case, we'll be back doing what we're used to doing. Until then, I think 2021 is going to be another year like 2020, except hopefully, if we haven't had a vaccine developed at the end of 2020, we'll certainly have one sometime in 2021. I'm not counting my chickens until they do hatch. My best guess is 2021 is when we'll find some kind of vaccine that will work, is being produced, and it has good effect on human society as a whole. I think the rest of the world, this is going to be a 1 or 2 year thing. Spanish influenza was 1918, 1920. And this is even before they've had any of this fantastic technology we have today that we can develop vaccines at breakneck speed. Back then, literally 100 years ago, the world was recovering from Spanish influenza. And they also had what they called influenza masks, pretty much face masks. So, frankly, I think the vaccine will certainly happen in the next year. I wouldn't say next 2 years. I would say certainly I'm optimistic. I'm going to say within 1 year we'll have something great that will work for all of us. It's just, it may take a long ass while before it reaches the rest of us. Unless you get sick, I doubt any of you healthy floofs or people out there are probably going to get vaccinated first before the more important people in this country get vaccinated. Before, I guess, really the rest of us. You got to prioritize who you got to vaccinate, because ordinary people who are healthy aren't going to need the vaccine now. It's those that are struggling to stay alive, those that are actually helping those trying to stay alive. They're the ones that are going to get prioritized first to get it. So, vaccines, I would certainly love to get a vaccine as soon as we all could. Realistically, never tell your constituents that you're going to create 250,000 jobs within 4 years. You're only going to disappoint people. If you're going to tell people by the end of the month, by the end of the year, you're going to have a miraculous, I'm bad with words. If you're going to have a fantastic and functioning vaccine for everyone at the end of the year, you're going to put way too many people's hopes up. Maybe not the best thing you should do. You should certainly keep people worried about not getting sick, then give people hope and have them get a bit lazy with their ordinary daily life routine. You should still wear a mask. You should still take prevention from getting sick. Because I think what's more damaging is telling people a vaccine is just around the corner and people slack off. That's what I don't want to see. Which is why I tell a lot of people, we can say a vaccine will come around the end of the month. I'm going to say it won't. Because even if it doesn't, yeah, you're a bit more optimistic that you would want to see it happen. But now you're more disappointed that it hasn't happened. Which hurts people too. Oh, it was more disappointment more than anything else, but I think vaccine will certainly happen because it's going to have to. Is it really going to happen within the end of the year? Not from what I'm looking. And if it does, it still won't roll into it won't be a rock rolling down a hill until 2021 anyway, as far as production, distribution, and prioritizing who gets a vaccine shot. I think 2021 is going to be the golden year as far as getting this under control. Right now, it's totally out of control. We just don't know. We can have it on control. It's just we don't have it full under control as far as vaccine is concerned. So anyway, thought I'd talk about vaccines because a lot of people are talking about it. It's in the news. It's in politics. It's used as a political crutch for someone who really wants to get reelected to think that, hey, vaccine is just right around the corner. Well, yeah, you can get the economy back together, but you know what? The economy is always going to be there. The economy is always bounced back up regardless. So what's the hurry? Because you know what? The more people you put back to work, which is still a good thing, but if you put everyone back to work, oh boy, is that already a mess waiting to happen. So anyway, thought I'd talk about vaccines because some people put too much faith into time frames, and I think even that can be dangerous. Best take a realistic approach. So there we go. So this is Dustin DaHusky, and hope you enjoyed my thoughts about this potential vaccine that could happen at any moment, or any time, or terrifyingly any year. So, we'll catch you on the next video.